What's up, guys? 80s Revolution back here with the kickoff of the Hasbro WWF collection video. But first, I wanted to come up here and show you what it's like to be a 4-year-old. All right, say hi.
Hi.
What it's like to be a 4-year-old and have a dad who's obsessed with the 80s. Here's what your toys look like. You get Castle Grayskull with... What are those guys? Who are all those guys?
Let me tell you, Cam, one Chuck Norris figure.
Those are Chuck Norris figures taking up residence in Castle Grayskull. We've got the turtle battle scene up there, and my favorite, forget Castle Grayskull, we've got He-Man taking over the turtle playset. It's the new, I don't know what it's called, what is it called? Turtle sewer playset?
No, a lamp thing called Turtle Secret of a Fool, but we call Secret of a Fool playset.
Secret of the Sewer playset?
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget Lionel. You got to show Lionel the camera.
Oh, and right here up here.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
That's Lionel, and what is he from?
Thundercat.
All right. Do you know the Thundercat song?
Don't laugh at me.
I won't laugh.
Thundercat.
So there you go. The dangers of having an 80s revolution for your dad.
So, Mumbler.
We'll see ya.
No,
not yet?
No, don't hang up. Take a picture of it.
Oh, what's that?
Technodrome.
The Technodrome for Shredder. See you later, sir. Say bye to everybody. Oh, say goodbye. Hey guys, what's up? 80s Revolution back here. Hope you enjoyed that quick little clip of 80s Revolution Jr. enjoying having a dad who's an absolute 80s lunatic, and all the fun he gets to have with so basically those are all his. The Turtles, the He-Man, the Chuck Norris guys, those are all his. I have mine, and you know, he comes down here and finds some stuff that he wants, and instead of taking it from me and me never seeing it again, I have to go and buy him one as well. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Tonight we are kicking off the WWF Hasbro Wrestling Figure Collection. We are going to take our time just like we did with the LJNs. It's a pretty deep collection, probably closer to 70 figures, and lots of series to go through, lots of stories to tell, some great figures, some absolutely horrible figures, but definitely Hasbro really grabbed, you know, the majority of the major players in the WWF at the time. We're talking about 1990 to about 1994, 95. So really got a whole bunch of fun characters. Hasbro's are a pretty cartoony figure, but that's good because the era that we're talking about of the WWF was a very colorful and cartoony era. So it was a good toy company to try to capture the likeness of these sometimes over the top, you know, cartoony, corny characters. Guys like the Repo Man, certainly Akeem. Who else? Doink the Clown, of course. Yeah, the Bushwhackers. You know, so let's get into it. But first, a little giveaway for you guys. Tell me, I have a few items that I'd like to send out to you, but you got to do something for it, of course. If you're a fan of Greg the Hammer Valentine, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. Tell me why. You know, I'm not going to pick the best story. I'm just going to give something to people who are interested in Greg the Hammer Valentine. If you're not interested in Greg Valentine or, you know, 80s WWF wrestling, don't bother. But if you are, let me know, because I've got some pretty neat collectibles from Greg Valentine. A realtor friend of mine had a foreclosure where the person just pretty much abandoned ship, and took off and left a whole bunch of stuff behind. And some of it was wrestling related. And I think this person was probably some kind of a, for some reason, they were some kind of a promoter that maybe put on an autograph signing for Greg the Hammer Valentine. And so he's got a bunch of Greg Valentine autographed items. The only ones that I have up for giveaway now are mini hammers with the Greg Valentine autograph on them. I've seen Greg Valentine's autograph. I have Greg Valentine's autograph. This is Greg Valentine's autograph. He, it's pretty sloppy. He's got a pretty interesting G. These are written in gold Sharpie, and they're little mini hammers. Not full-size hammers, but they are autographed by Greg the Hammer Valentine. So if you're interested, if you would, if you're a fan of Greg Valentine and you'd like to add this thing to your collection, tell me and I will send you a hammer. Just like that. Just for being friends of the 80s Revolution. Cheers to you, Xavier Sherwood. You know what that is. BBK. All right. Let's get into the Hasbro. So, 1989 ended my run of LJN figures. And for a year, there were no wrestling figures available. What, oh what, was the 80s Revolution to do? I don't remember. I think I was playing a lot of Nintendo. I think I was playing a lot of Sega Genesis. I wasn't really collecting anything. Maybe I was getting older. Maybe there wasn't going to be a new hot toy. Maybe my toy run was completely over. I was getting into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they just weren't doing it for me. I had spent pretty much age 8 to age 12 or 13, just, mesmerized by the LJN figures. And now, for the first time in my childhood, we have no more wrestling figures. Wow, what was I to do? And again, remember, no internet, no way of knowing what's happening. I had no idea that LJN had folded and the WWF signed with Hasbro to continue the wrestling figure line. How would I know that? I had no idea that that was happening. It wasn't announced anywhere. You just didn't know. So one night, for some reason, I don't remember, my family and I were in this store called Hills. So it was either Hills or Caldor. I can't remember exactly which one, but Hills or Caldor, and I don't think any of them exist anymore. And I think they're East Coast type stores. They're basically Targets, Walmarts, Kmarts. So Hills or Caldor, I was in one day, and I was going through the toy aisle. And for the first time in a year, I spotted WWF action figures. And it was a pretty awesome moment. Now, I didn't quite know what to think of these figures at first, because remember, I'm used to playing with these 8-inch rubber solid figures. And here we have these 4-inch colorful plastic movable figures on a very small card, not the big LJN card, but a very small card. And I didn't know what to think of them. But I had to have them, of course. So, my first two Hasbro WWF figures from Caldor or Target, or Hills, was the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, complete with his $1 Million belt. Black suit, black tuxedo, pretty similar to the LJN Ted DiBiase. Suit, belt. LJN didn't come with the belt, but Oh, wow, sorry guys. Pretty good looking Ted DiBiase figure. He was my first one, along with his opponent for that entire night, Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, I remember in that toy aisle, they did have Demolition, Axe, and Smash, and the Ultimate Warrior. I don't remember them having any others. And I walked away with these two because I didn't like Warrior's pose, and I'll show you in a minute. And I liked that these guys had accessories. So we got Jake the Snake Roberts, and a much better snake than the LJN line put out. Ooh, his arm is jacked up there. Much better snake, much more colorful. Actually, it looks like a snake. Jake the Snake Roberts and Ted DiBiase were my first two Hasbro figures some night in 1990, a year after being completely void of wrestling figures. The other thing that I wasn't used to was that these had articulation, which I later learned about. Their arms moved. Their waists moved. Their legs did not move. But they had this thing. They had like this action feature, which as a kid I wasn't fond of, and as an adult I'm not fond of. But Jake the Snake had a punching feature where you could kind of pull back his arm and punch. And he's kind of spring-loaded. Well, let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see there. Spring-loaded. And you pull back his arm and punch. This is not something I ever did as a kid. My LJNs were solid chunks of rubber. There was no spring-loaded action. So this was something that I never got used to and never enjoyed, were these moving parts. Ted DiBiase's was a little bit more subtle. I think, I think it was just kind of like this hammer type fist thing. Not really. So this is a little bit more of what I'm used to. Kind of a solid figure. Jake's arm never really bothered me all that much. I still had a lot of fun playing with Jake, but never utilized this action feature. So here are my first two Hasbro WWF figures. Jake the Snake, complete with Damien, and Ted DiBiase, complete with $1 Million Belt. All right, so later that year, of course, probably a week later, I started gathering the rest of the figures. The 1990 Hasbro Series 1 had a tag team. And at the time, a very popular tag team. And I believe 89 was the year that Demolition won the tag team titles at WrestleMania 5. And so by 1990, or by probably late 89 when these figures were being produced, the tag team of Axe and Smash Demolition were your WWF Tag Team Champions. Great looking figures. I really like the Smash figure, again, being an old school LJN guy. Not too much going on with the action feature. His arms are, in a pretty good play pose. Punching fists, I really liked that with the figures. So, pretty good figure. Of course, this is Smash, and they really grabbed his makeup correctly there. Good looking Smash. And of course, we had another really good looking likeness of Axe. Really good looking figure. And of course, Axe has the first of the poses that I never really liked. So this is like the gorilla press feature, right? So the idea is to get the guy up there, throw him with the gorilla press. I never liked that. I never liked how his hands were wide open. I just thought that was not really conducive to, throwing punches and playing. But likeness-wise, look, color, absolutely fantastic figures. Demolition, Axe, and Smash. Little trivia for you. Demolition Smash would go on later to have a second WWF Hasbro figure later on, and I will let you know who that is. But, of course, prior to, the big time in the WWF, Smash, Barry Darsow, was a character in NWA called Crusher Khrushchev, and he was teaming up with Nikita Koloff and Ivan Koloff, and of course he was a Russian, and then came over and became Demolition Smash. And Axe has had a very long career prior to playing Axe. He was a masked character in the WWF in the very early 80s, named the Masked Superstar. And in fact, in 86, I believe, the WWF had this horrible idea of putting Andre the Giant under a mask and calling him the Giant Machine from Japan. And he had two tag team partners, Super Machine and Big Machine. Big Machine was Blackjack Mulligan, who is the grandfather of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. And Super Machine, probably a little take on Superstar, Masked Superstar, was Axe. Axe was Super Machine in 1986 WWF. Little trivia. Bet you didn't know that. If you did, good for you. Let's see. Of course, you've got to have the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. Good figure. Good capture of Andre. Looks good. A huge figure. You know, they did make him bigger than the other figures, so that's a good thing. Didn't really have too much of a gimmicky feature. This one was the only, Andre the Giant was the only Hasbro figure that had this feature where you kind of bend him back and thrust him forward. I don't know if it was like the Andre, you know, back in the day, Andre used to do this horrible, like, butt bump in the corner. He would get a guy in the corner and he would just go, oh, like that, and he would like do this massive ass bump. So I don't know if that's what they were going for here, but here's your Andre the Giant figure. Looks great. Perfect figure. Nothing wrong with Andre. And of course, the figurehead of the WWF at the time, Hulk Hogan, in his pretty awesome late 80s, early 90s Hulk Rules style t-shirt. You know, rips in the back. Unfortunately, the Hulk has those wide open hands, you know, for that body slam mechanism, which kind of spoils it. Again, you've got the main man in the WWF at the time, and he doesn't have any fists to punch. Oh well, the Hulkster headband. Hulk Hogan #1. There are other Hulk Hogan figures in the Hasbro line that we'll get to later. One of my favorite figures of the line is a very simple and captured perfectly representation of the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Great looking figure. Why is he one of my favorite figures? Well, because he's simple. And again, I'm just coming off the LJNs here. So I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm used to playing with these solid rubber figures whose arms didn't move. And, you know, to me, he's in kind of a perfect play pose. And they really just grabbed the simplicity of Savage here. I mean, they nail the face, they nail the sunglasses. You got his trunks with the 3 stars. No Macho Man on the back, but yellow boots, tan, muscular, great looking figure. Randy Macho Man Savage, probably the best figure of Series 1 for me. I'll leave these 4. These are going to be sort of my worst figures of the batch. But here's the Akeem figure. Okay, we've got, again, really great capture of likeness. They did really well. Again, this is before real scan technology. So that, you know, they did a good job capturing Akeem. Big, colorful figure. They did well. Hat is not removable. But most of the hats of the Hasbros were not movable, so if any character had a cowboy hat or any other hat, it wasn't coming off. But this one, and I guess I misspoke, this is the other figure that has that rocking back motion. Akeem, the African Dream, if you will. His Twin Towers tag team partner. And to me, one of the worst figures of Series 1 Hasbro, for the simple reason that they pretty much shrunk this guy down to nothing and started with his head. So here we have the teeny tiny headed Big Boss Man. They got his girth correctly, it seems, but the figure is just small and the head is teeny tiny. But other than that, good looking figure. Got his gear done correctly. We got that awesome nightstick. But unfortunately, you know, when you're putting him up against the Hulkster, you know, he just seems small. And again, I'm not really a scale, you know, I'm not really a freak about scale when it comes to wrestlers, but I don't know, they kind of shrunk the Big Boss Man for some. They did a much better job in the second Big Boss Man, which is a little bit later. But so here is the first Big Boss Man figure. Now, to me, two figures that got completely wasted by terrible play pose. My least favorite action figure, or my least favorite action feature of the Hasbros is this weird sort of pull-down launching gimmick. I have no idea what this is, other than, you know, some intense shrugs that the Warrior's doing there. But the idea was that you would stand the figure, pull down the feature, let go, and he would launch through the air. Again, I'm an LJN original. I'm not launching figures with an action mechanism. So they take a great figure and a major name at the time, 1989, you know, a huge player in the World Wrestling Federation at the time, and his first figure is poor. His second figure is a slight improvement. His third figure knocks it out of the park. But here is the first Ultimate Warrior with no neck and this weird thing sticking out of his back to launch him. And here's the worst part of it. The legs are fused together. The legs don't move. Why? Well, so that he can stand still and do that launching thing. But the legs didn't move. They were stuck together. I did not like that. So there is the Ultimate Warrior, number 1 from the 1990 Hasbro release. Second figure that had that same launching, legs fused together motion, and kind of just an overall bad figure. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and yes, this is the Barber version. This is, you know, 89 or 90 is around the time when Beefcake was full on the Barber gimmick. Does come with his scissors, which is pretty cool, and this hand is kind of in a hair cutting. You know, he used to do that a lot. You know, so fingers are in that sort of hair cutting motion, but big giant growth sticking out of his back, and the legs are fused together for that very common move that Brutus Beefcake did all the time in his matches when he would stand there and launch himself at his opponent. But Brutus Beefcake number 2, absolutely fantastic figure. This line got a heck of a lot better later on. First series, new to the company, you know, new to the toy line, working out the kinks, I guess. They really improved later on, so we're going to see some really great figures as the series move on, including an awesome Brutus Beefcake figure. So there's Brutus Beefcake number 1, and again, just taking a figure who, you know, taking a name who had, you know, just needed a great figure. His LJN figure I didn't like, and his Hasbro figure I don't like. We're talking about the ravishing one, Rick Rude. Why don't I like him? Well, I think they captured the size correctly. He was a skinny guy. I mean, he was totally shredded, but there was not an ounce of fat on this guy. He had a really thin, muscular body. Kind of like a Cesaro today, like Claudio Castagnoli, but much more ripped and defined. So I don't care that it's a skinny figure, but I just don't like this hand pose and this mechanism, this pullback. So basically this is like the headlock action feature. You put you get the guy in a headlock here, and you pull back this arm, and you punch him in the headlock. Again, maybe for kids who, had never played with LJNs before, who this was their introduction to wrestling figures, maybe they were in love with it. And it certainly has morphed into the, obsession with articulation today in today's figures from Mattel or from Jakks, where everybody is, goes nuts if the figures don't have the correct movements. But it wasn't for me. I wasn't used to playing with it this way, so they weren't for me. But so there's Ravishing Rick Rude. Don't really capture the face too well. Pants are okay. Pretty simple design on the chunks, but that hand pose just really ruined it for me. So that is Series 1 Hasbro. Now, it might sound like I'm a Hasbro hater. I'm not. The line gets better. Again, remember, I've said it before a couple of times. I was just coming off of the LJN series. I knew what I liked. I knew what I had played with for the past 4 or 5 years. They disappeared. They were gone. It was over. I was in mourning. I missed my wrestling figures. Out comes the Hasbros. It took a little bit of time for me to get used to them. And they never really, I don't know. I bought several series of them, but I didn't play as much. Obviously, I was getting a little bit older. So the play time definitely decreased. Series 1, I played the heck out of Series 1, even though I'm complaining about their poses. I played with Series 1 Hasbros to death. When the WCW Galoob figures came out, right around the end of 1990, I played the heck out of those because they were a little bit more of what I was used to, and I'll show you those later. But the line does get better. But I'm growing up, so the play time is definitely decreasing. So I won't be talking about a lot of play memories with Hasbros, just kind of showing you the figures, maybe talking a little bit about each one of the wrestlers, giving you a little bit of their backstory. But that's that. Hasbro Series 1, 1990. Yeah, much more to come. Let me know about that Greg the Hammer Valentine giveaway. If you're interested in an autographed Greg the Hammer Valentine hammer, let me know. Again, they are mini hammers. They are not full-size hammers. They are completely usable hammers if you've got a small area, but signed in gold Sharpie or gold marker by Greg the Hammer Valentine. If you would like them, let me know. I will send it to you. Thank you all. So, after the Hasbros, we're going to do like a bonus feature LJN, because I forgot the bendies, and I forgot the thumb wrestlers, and I forgot the bendy ring and cage, and those should not be forgotten. Those are great figures. Thumb wrestlers, they're okay. Bendies are great, and the ring and cage is great, and I'll show you those. I've been asked to pull those back out. So after I go through the Hasbros, we'll have a special bonus footage LJN pickups collection review with bendies, thumb wrestlers, bendy ring and cage. Hope you enjoyed Hasbro Series 1. Many, many more to come. We're going to do each series individually. We're going to take our time. We're going to tell stories, leave comments. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Thank you all very much. I will see you soon.